Freeman, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority. 105.9 FM. AM 630. WMAL.
7:38 on the Morning Majority. Brian Eamon, Susan Faricio from the Washington Examiner in this morning. Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine will be back next week.
It's wonderful to be here.
Did you watch football yesterday, Susan?
I watched some football, a little bit. Not a lot. I'm not a huge football person.
That's all right.
I'll admit it.
But you have to do it in America, don't you?
You do.
You have to watch football on
I
Thanksgiving.
love the Patriots. I know. I'm from Massachusetts.
That's fine. You
so.
can like the Patriots. There's nothing wrong with that. You can like the evil.
I like the Redskins,
the
too.
evil empire, Bill Belichick.
I'm always rooting for the Redskins. One of these days, things are going to turn around. I know it.
Yes, a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, I believe, is the cliche to use there. Trevor Matich joins us now on the Morning Majority. So, Trevor, what's worse for a guy? You're forced to go out Black Friday shopping with his wife at 4 o'clock in the morning, or being on the bottom of a pile with a loose ball with some 300-pound guy just grabbing fingers, stomping on you, or doing anything you can to get the ball away from you?
Oh, absolutely, shopping with your wife.
That's what I figured.
The pain you feel from those guys is temporary. The pain that your wife will put on you.
They'll haunt you forever, those trips to the mall.
The thing is, you've got to know what you're doing there. You've got to understand that you cannot win. She is right. You will go stand in whatever line she instructs you to. You will nod and say, yes, dear, no matter how you feel. And if you do that, you will then win that game, even though your wallet will feel like it lost. But the thing is, you keep your wife happy. So
I like your thinking.
There's a technique to winning that game.
There are moral victories. There are such things as moral victories when it comes to that.
Speaking of blind squirrels, I've got to tell you, I'm at LSU right now, and I'm looking out my windshield on the side of the road. I am looking at a squirrel, and I'm assuming it may be blind, and maybe that's an omen for the Redskins.
Yeah, maybe it is. Hey, growing up, did you always spend Thanksgiving playing football? What was it like in the Matich household when it comes to Thanksgiving Day?
Yeah, you know what, Brian, since basically since I got to college, and then 12 years in the NFL, and then broadcasting since, Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day were almost always either practice or game day, always. And right now it's the same way. I'm working today, and so it's one thing it's great to be with family. You prefer that, but it's Thanksgiving, and I'm very grateful to basically have a job.
Right.
And so there's a lot to be thankful for if you look for it.
I went out and we played two-hand touch with the kids. We went to the local high school and the nice artificial turf fields that they have now everywhere these days. And I'm very sore this morning from playing two-hand touch football with 6- and 7-year-olds. Yeah.
And you know what? They're laughing at us.
Yes, they are. They are.
They make us sore intentionally.
Because they're not
sore.
They
laugh at us.
Right.
But they don't do it person to person. They sit next to one another, and then they text each other the LOL.
Yeah, right.
Well, Rex Grossman is saying that he thinks the Redskins are turning a corner, that even though they didn't win last week against the Cowboys, he felt things coming together, and that this next game they really have a chance of winning against the Seahawks. What do you think? Do you think this is a time for the Redskins to pull off a victory finally?
Well, Susan, ordinarily I would just shake my head and mutter that this is the musings of a guy who has to say that.
Right.
But for the first time in a month and a half last week in the loss against Dallas, they showed signs of life. They showed signs of the offense clicking. And we had not seen any improvement whatsoever. It has been a bottom-dwelling stretch of misery with no hope in sight. And finally, even in a loss, the hope that the offense showed us was encouraging and real, I believe. Unfortunately, the defense finally got 24 points from the offense and couldn't turn that into a win.
Now, the Seahawks are kind of on their way up because they're trying to go for a third victory. So do you think there's a chance this weekend?
Yeah, the Seahawks have been hot. The last couple of weeks, they've beaten the Ravens and the Rams, and they've been playing very, very well. But the thing is, the Redskins can't pencil in a victory against anybody.
Right.
And so certainly they're capable of winning this game. But what the offense needs to do is what they did this last week, which is not overpower the Seahawks, certainly, but have more chemistry between the players. When everybody's doing the same thing at the same time, it works a lot better. And so if they can continue that progress, they do have a chance to beat the Seahawks. And so I'm hopeful. I'm not necessarily calling it but I'm hopeful.
It's a cross-country trip. We always hear from guys in the NFL, and if you look at the stats, it does play out that when East Coast teams go to the West Coast and West Coast teams go to the East Coast, it's difficult. Why is it so hard to win 3 time zones away?
I don't know. I really don't. It never bothered me.
It never bothered you?
No. When you go play on the East Coast, you're still playing a 1 o'clock game. People complain, yeah, well, I'm having pregame meal at 4 in the morning.
Right.
Yeah, it's actually 7 in the morning for you, so don't complain.
Right.
You know, and so I think it may just have something to do with the mental side. Certainly physiologically, you spend 5 hours cramped on an airplane and dehydrated because those airplane cabins are pressurized to 8,000 feet.
And these guys are huge.
Yeah. To dehydrate you, so there may be something to that physiologically.
How do they even fit in those airplanes? These guys are enormous.
They don't. No, hey, every time I sit in an airplane, my kneecaps end up in my neck because I just get jammed in there. Now, fortunately, they give you plenty of space to spread out, but I don't know of any teams. Maybe there are teams now that are like the NBA that have their own
planes,
special planes for 7-footers. You know, I don't know if the NFL has that.
Well, did you guys get your own row? I mean, if you're an offensive lineman, 300 pounds, 6'6", did you get your own row?
You know, at least you'll have a seat next to you open.
Right.
But what happens on those planes is a whole lot of mayhem most of the time on the way out there, and on the way back even worse if you win.
What kind of mayhem?
Card games. They're watching movies. They're yucking it up. I mean, it's like a carnival. It's like a bunch of 12-year-olds, for goodness sake.
Sounds like a press plane.
That just made a bunch of adults sore.
Yeah, right.
Really, that's what we are as football players, overgrown adults with more time than we can use and more money than we can spend, and that shows up on those planes.
All right, before we let you go on a serious note, Ndamukong Suh yesterday for the Lions and that little stomping incident on one of the Packers players, he was ejected. Do you expect him, and should he be maybe suspended for a game or 2?
Yeah, I think he should be. He has had penalties like this and fines for unsportsmanlike conduct in the past. And when you look at the video, there was an official after the whistle blew, right there on him, watching him, blowing the whistle on him as he pushed the head of a Packer into the turf. Then as he got up and separated from the Packer, with the official right there, he stomped on the guy with his cleat.
A couple times.
That is dangerous, and frankly, especially given his history, I think he deserves to be suspended for the safety of the league.
Yeah. All right, Trevor. Man, LSU, Arkansas, that's awesome. Enjoy the game.
Yeah,
I'll be watching.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I'll be watching. And by the way, real fast, Susan, Patriot fan, which uniforms? Elvis Goes to Space Camp or the old ones?
I really like the old ones. I really do. How about you?
I love the old ones too. We need to talk about that.
Oh, I love the old ones. I'm sad to see what's happening.
I've never heard it described as Elvis Goes to Space Camp, but that's what those new uniforms do look like. All right, Trev. Good to talk to you. We'll talk to you on Monday after the long trip home for the Redskins, whether it's a win or not. See you.
And hopefully it's a happy day.